You would think that by now we would understand that the media doesn't always accurately portray what goes on beyond the royal gates, yet the most of the current debate around Catherine the Princess of Wales is unconvincing. The reality is far more nuanced than the glossy press suggests. We're not just talking about someone recovering from a trying year. Catherine came close to passing away, and that's not just a dramatic headline, that's the horrifying reality. Falling between the gaps, it's easy to assume everything is okay based on her serene manner at royal engagements or her lovely smile when trooping the color, but appearances may be misleading. She was a little over a year ago after a horrific operation that discovered cancer. She is undergoing chemotherapy, but no one is really talking about why she had the treatment done in the first place. Even before the royal proclamations, there was something severely misdiagnosed, a stomach condition that had apparently been developing for a while before anybody even suspected she was sick. Because no one was aware of the early sickness, here is when things start to become tricky for the palace. Wants to talk about what almost killed her. According to those close to her, the accumulation of months of pain and deterioration, in addition to the disease, left her barely living. However, the bulk of Theus, though everything is under control and you may recover with a few days of rest, the mainstream narrative still presents this as a momentary absence or private health concern. But cancer treatment harms your health. According to some sources, Catherine's public appearances are purposefully spread out since she is still unable to function as fully as she previously did. It breaks you down in ways that photos can't capture. Fatigue. But according to some royal insiders, she is still far from fully healed because her recovery is still difficult and takes a long time. She was on the list 1 minute and then removed the next during the Royal Ascot absence. Palace officials hastily claimed that there were communication issues, painting her health as a straightforward mix-up without offering a detailed explanation or being forthright about it. Come on, that is a cover-up, not a scheduling error. People are starting to realize that a significant problem still exists behind closed doors. One of the most trustworthy royal journalists, Rebecca English, has disclosed startling facts by referencing someone close to stories about costumes and public grins are obscuring Catherine's assertion that she's truly gone to hell and back. But it's a subtle acknowledgement of something the palace refuses to openly admit, that Catherine was really unwell, that the threat may not be completely eliminated, and that the bigger issue here is not just her health but also the royal machine's not. Disclosing the truth, palace officials promptly wrote off Prince William's withdrawal from the King of Greece funeral ceremony last year as a scheduling difficulty. But now that it's been made public, some insiders were aware of it all along, and it seems to have been directly related to Catherine's quickly declining health. But since the royal PR game is played by saying as little as possible and hoping that it will all be forgotten, they decided to keep quiet, but this time, it didn't. The silence created a gap, and once again, misdirection resulted from rumors, conspiracy theories, and an issue that might have been avoided with a little honesty. Rebecca English's report didn't just confirm suspicions. According to her sources, Catherine reportedly had a full mental reset after everything she had experienced and is now more clear than ever about what matters to her, which ended the argument. And it currently entails protecting her peace, her family, and her privacy. Instead of continuously smiling, waving, and showing up as instructed by the old royal playbook, she is picking her moments wisely, which isn't many people who know her think that she's developing more clear boundaries behind the scenes, which is an indication of her fragility for survival. Before accepting any invitation, she weighs the cost, the energy required, and if she will be weary for days after the event, not because she doesn't care, but because she would rather stay at home, which is why she wasn't at Royal Ascot. She might not be able to afford to push herself for the state banquet next month. In spite of all, Catherine S. the new V&A storehouse and the Color Order of the Garter are continuing their almost incredible recovery. They were organized pick your battles, not just random appearances. Problems beyond simply getting away and resting. It's now a trend, and the palace is starting to accept it. It has been said that King Charles, who has been undergoing his own cancer treatments, is completely in support of her approach. He understands it, but he's not, despite its customs and traditions. The royal family is aware of reality, and in this case, the fact is that the recuperation from chemotherapy isn't simple. Rather, he is supposedly protecting her from being pressured. Consequences, failures, and, above all, continuing uncertainty. Anxiety never really goes away. The question of whether it has vanished or will reappear is a constant for everybody who has had cancer or has seen someone else go through it. May cause prolonged anxiety in some people. The public continues to place pressure on Catherine despite the fact that her close circle and co-workers are aware of this, asserting an odd entitlement to her presence as if being royal meant she is a human person who nearly died, and those who have been silent for too long are now admitting that reality. She should just heal when told to, but that isn't how things work. It's also the cause, though they aren't giving away the whole plot. The palace story is slowly shifting, suggesting that it is strategically crucial to let a respectable journalist say things they won't say in an official position, such extremely unwell and lucky to there are risks involved with the purposeful use of soft signals to make the public aware of how terrible things truly were. Excessive secrecy, and individuals try to fill in the blanks as best they can. This was evident earlier this year when the palace tried to pretend everything was well. The silence sparked a lot of rumors, from body double conspiracy theories to marital issues. It was ludicrous, but expected. In 2024, you can't expect silence when everyone has a phone and a podcast. Catherine continues to try to resolve this issue with grace. She is not hiding, rather, she is handling things, and if the people based on what we've heard, she isn't ready to return full-time, therefore those close to her are smart enough to stop pretending that she is. If she wants to, she might go to Wimbledon and meet international leaders, although it's not a guarantee. Catherine may make her next public appearance at Wimbledon. As advised by her doctors, she is measuring her energy levels every week, according to those close to her. As well as her own instincts, there is no strict timetable or royal grand scheme. Only a woman attempting to reconstruct her life following a year that almost destroyed her, and despite her outward smiles, the burden remains. It's amazing how much Catherine's experience has exposed the palace's communication strategies' flaws. When the princess disappeared from view earlier this year, she continues to keep this knowledge confidential. What's remarkable is how much Catherine's experience has shown the weakness of the palace's communication plan when the princess vanished from the public eye earlier this year. She still keeps this information private. Transparency became a catastrophe. Online conjecture, viral movies, and even big media sources experimenting with conspiracy theories filled the whole. It was a lesson, not merely a PR blunder. Being silent won't keep you safe. It now encourages anarchy. Insiders today acknowledge that the royal family underestimated the contemporary internet's insatiable curiosity, and by the time they recognized the extent of the crisis, it was too late. And late-night chat programs were joking around because one lady, who is perhaps the most adored character in the monarchy, wasn't being seen or heard. There were a ton of ideas on Twitter, and even some devoted royal watchers started to wonder what was actually happening. At first, the palace minimized everything and made evasive remarks. But pandemonium could have been prevented by just recognizing what the people already recognized was wrong, not by disclosing private medical information. In retrospect, it made matters worse by pushing out manipulated images and doubling down on nothing to see here messaging, not because people want rumors, but because they want truth, especially from individuals they look up to, like King Charles. He appears to comprehend this change better than anybody else since he has been more forthcoming about his sickness, providing just enough details to keep the public informed without drawing the attention that balance has won him. Respect, and he's making a strong statement by subtly endorsing Catherine's strategy. This family's approach to dealing with suffering is evolving. It's no longer about hard lips and quiet, but rather about dignity with a dash of candor. However, some unfair comparisons have surfaced, pointing out that Charles, who is much older and receiving treatment, has continued to carry on a demanding schedule, so why not Catherine? However, that argument breaks down under closer examination. Everybody's body reacts to illness in a different way, and every person's recovery process is distinct. Although Charles may be working at his best, Catherine is permitted to take her time, but this doesn't negate the even behind the walls of the palace. According to reports, Catherine has grown more forceful in defending her time, her limits, and her family, and this understanding appears to be expanding. She's addressing the trauma with wisdom, not rudeness. Of almost dying doesn't simply go away because someone plans a big event. It stays and influences your priorities, how you live, and where you draw the line. For this reason, those closest to her claim she's different, though she is now quieter in some ways and stronger in others. The lady is still highly involved in the work she loves about, particularly in the areas of early development and families, but she is doing it in a new way, more behind the scenes. More at her own speed. Regardless of whether she resumes her full-time royal life or not, it is evident that Catherine is here to live, not to play a part. If that means putting in fewer appearances but leading a more honest life, then perhaps that's precisely what the monarchy requires, not only a survivor, but a symbol of grace standing according to her own terms.